Right. Guten Abend, guten Tag, guten Morgen, from everybody, no matter what time it is when you're watching this, and welcome back to an episode of the Teutonic Tangents with the founder and creator of the Teutonic Tangents, Tyler Vincent. And yes, yes, a good old Skyrim. He looks like the Skyrim. He's got it going for him. He's got the Skyrim base Nord character look going on,
Yeah, it's
the
gotta grow the
mighty
beard out a
beard
little
and
more.
yeah, keeping the head shave. Looks good. Looks good. Yeah, he's got a fresh look for a fresh, nice episode tonight, and it's gonna be a good one. We're gonna go about it. We've been talking about it for a bit, and we're gonna go about it better than what our lost first episode of it was. We're gonna go about it smoother. It's gonna be a really good one. It's gonna be very beneficial. I want to take this, very seriously, and I really hope it can help people out there, and you can cling on to something older. For pagans out there, that's what it's all about. Even Christians too. Well, of course, Christians too. I mean, a lot of things are clinging on to the past. You cling on to the past and you think about the golden days and how certain standards were, certain things were. You realize things are getting shittier, but what makes you different is that you try to uphold those older values, those ancient values. And but yes, I guess Tyler, before we get started, do you have anything to announce, brother?
No. Yes. Maybe. I don't know. We did just finish recording another episode. We had a Q&A. I don't know if that's going to go up before or after this one. And I also just published literally right before we started recording, another vocal one take video, a vocal cover of Thyart is Murder, Holy War. So if anybody really likes that band, go check that out. I feel like I did pretty okay with it. But other than that, in the Q&A that we did, I don't think I have anything else other than that.
Awesome. Cool. Yeah, it's gonna be really exciting. We're trying to push for a little bit more of a musical channel with it as well. Obviously, we've been saying that Tyler's been like leading the way. He's been the spearhead of the operation. So, fucking kudos to him. Much respect for that because we've been talking about that for a while, and he's been the only one. So, I'm gonna try to contribute as well. I have some guitar videos throughout the years because I enjoy that. Probably do some piping, show people like, in the last episode we talked about I have the chanter, the bagpipe chanter, I have the tin whistle, like just show all kinds of stuff. Be great, just make it a huge thing, and just all kinds of different instruments. It's another aspiration. I want to be an Ilian piper, just piper in general one day. So yeah, I will try to make an effort to that too, my man. Send you some, and we're gonna do some more music on there. Obviously, Tyler's already doing that with his vocals, fucking badass vocals. So, um, the only other thing I could think is, fuck it, I'll just show it. But McCollin, um, fucking got a hold of
Oh, you showed
this.
it.
He showed it. I won't say how, but just won't say how I got it. But yeah, straight from Scotland, aka Alba. All their whiskey's aged 12 years. 43%. I usually don't drink whiskey. I'm a beer drinker, so it's my first shot getting back into whiskey had to be Highland whiskey, and it was fucking insane. So I'm gonna try to sip on that throughout this. I think it'll help me speed up everything. I hope that's the effect it has, and it doesn't make me keep rambling on. But we have a structured way about going about this tonight. I don't want to burn anybody out. I want this to help people, and I want people to understand truly what it means to be Teutonic or Germanic, especially for pagans. It's very beneficial because um, I'm basically kind of copying their quoting, kind of survive the jive. Tom Rousel, a really good Englishman, one of my favorite role models and men that I think will ever live. But even he said sometimes it's not enough to read the Eddas, the Halloween things like this. Sometimes you do need to research more and truly understand what some of these things mean. And this book, as we start to get into this now, it's called The Culture of the Teutons. And it is by Wilhelm Grimbach. He is a Danish author. He's an expert on all things Germanic and also Turkish stuff. So kind of out there in the Middle East, he's also an expert on that. And it was published in the early 20th century. Um, he was alive from like the late 19th century going into the beginning of the 20th century. And And yeah, he did a very amazing, very deep work on this, and I haven't read through it yet. I'm just kind of going through. All right, the way we're gonna do it is basically read a chapter, and we're gonna go through it all, and we're not gonna go too much into it because the way he does it, it's essentially it's just like completely he keeps backing up his point. It's just source and saga after saga, source after source that just kind of proves everything and truly, and he just goes deeper into it. Um, so yeah, let's just jump right into it to start here. We're going to start with a little bit of the intro. We're going to kind of go into here about culture. I throw around the word culture a lot. Um, and now it's kind of trying to understand from Wilhelm Grunberg, um, a very credible source, credible man. What does culture mean? So here it says culture in the true sense of the word means an elastic harmony between man's inner self and his surroundings so that he is able not only to make his environment serve his material ends, but also to transfer the impulses of the surrounding world into spiritual ideals and aspirations. So there you go. That's pretty fucking solid, you know. It's literally culture, you know, it's between you and that's kind of what paganism um, or even Christianity, a lot of people which can be kind of powerful. That's why I have a lot of respect for a lot of Christians. You know, even Catholics still uphold those things. They kind of tie religion to them. They understand it's still Christ and they understand it's still God. But in order for it to fit them and their culture as Germanic people, like English Catholics or I don't know, German Catholics or anything like that, when a lot of conversion first happened, a lot of things still had to be bent to their culture. It has to still be tied to the land somehow. But essentially, for everybody out there, that's culture. Like things do have to be tied to the land, especially with paganism. Um, just keeping it straightforward. You can't really be Asian to be a Germanic or even a Celtic pagan. Just like a Germanic person as myself and you, Tyler, or a Celtic person of Celtic descent, you can't be an Asian pagan. And just in terms of like you can try, but you're not going to get the benefits. It's tied to the land. When you have stories like Native Americans, like send a Native American to Ireland, he's not going to have that power like tied to the land. He's not going to be able to connect to the spirits of Ireland as well as somebody who's tapping into Celtic paganism who is of Celtic descent. So there you go. That's culture. We'll get through that. And then Tyler, at any time, the way we're doing this format, if there's anything you want to say, you let me know and stuff.
I
Uh,
probably won't have too much to say. I'll probably mainly be listening, but I'll try to give my thoughts every now and then.
of course, yeah. And just so everybody knows the way it will go, in case it does stay quieter on his end, we already have a pre-planned out format. I'm just going to try to go through the notes because there is quite a bit to go through, but I want to keep it structured. I want to get it out there very clear to everybody, and I want it to help people. But then at the end of it, him and I both are going to talk about personal things and how this can help us because of our experiences with connections with other people. And then, yeah, we're going to go from there. So,
Yeah, starting out, we're
um,
trying to get through all the notes and everything, and then we'll have a little back and forth at the end of it and discuss it in detail.
absolutely. So, so now the one other thing before I move on from the introduction and to actually tap into Frith. So I just wanted to talk about in terms of what is somebody, just this one quote, who is somebody who's Germanic or Teutonic compared to a Celt? It's a really good quote. It even ties in today when you think about Celtic people in terms of the culture compared to Germanic people. Um, so, like this quote here, it says, compared with the Celt, the Northman is heavy, reserved, a child of earth, yet seemingly but half awakened. He cannot say what he feels, save by vague indication in a long, roundabout fashion. He is deeply attached to the country that surrounds him. Its meadows and rivers fill him with a latent tenderness, but his home sense has not emancipated itself into love. The feeling for nature rings in muffled tones through his speech and through his myths, but he does not burst into song of the loveliness of the world. Of his relations with women, he needs no need to speak, save when there is something of a practical nature to be stated. Only when it becomes tragic does the subject enter into his poetry. In other words, his feelings are never revealed until they have brought about an event. They tell us nothing of themselves save by the weight and bitterness they give to the conflicts that arise. Uneventfulness does not throw him back upon his inner resources and never opens up a flood of musings or lyricism. It merely dulls him. Now the Celt meets life with open arms, ready for every impression. He is loath to let anything fall dead before him. The Teuton is not lacking in passionate feeling, but he will not help himself so lavishly to life. So, pretty long quote there, but overall, just to kind of summarize that real quick. And I think the last time Tyler and I talked about this, it kind of checks out because it's kind of crazy. Like when you even think about it to this day, like you think about like the music of things. Um, you know, in terms of like certain cultures, like you think about the bagpipes, you think about any kind of pipes, you think about like Irish jigs. That's still to this day like tracks huge crowds, you know, in pubs. You know what I mean? Like it's like the Celtic countries. I think it's a lot more musical and it's a lot more about the land in terms of like like romanticifying whatever the word would be of the land. You know, talking about the rolling green hills of Ireland. You know, and all
Romanticize.
the songs. Yeah, very romanticized. Thank you. So it you know it's kind of checks out a lot. You know, it's a lot more people think about like the beautiful Irish woman singing a beautiful hymn. You know, and then the mistiness and all this stuff of it. But when you think about a Germanic person, you do think about like everybody thinks, unfortunately, because of like the you know the Vikings TV shows, a lot of pop culture and stuff. There's a lot of like things with them where they think they're these wild and like loud people who are just over emotional. But if you want to think about a great movie that can really personify a Teutonic person, go and watch The Northman. It's kind of the closest thing so far, at least, that you can get to a very accurate depiction. You know, there's tons of scenes where the son he's like throwing a tantrum because one of his men are dead, and he's trying to like act like he cares. He's throwing a tantrum, and the mother and dad comes up, and the mother slaps the shit out of him and says, "Stop! Everybody's watching. Remain calm." You know, and they're very much about composure and things like that. You know, so you know when you think about a Teutonic person, Germanic person, um, very calm, composure. But when something bad does happen, you know, like you'll know they're very you know you'll find out as we go through here there's things within them that comes before their emotions. Everything is they're people driven by principles, honor, you know, frith, as we're going to see. But you know you do see that not as much the beautiful lyricism and stuff um, as you do see like in Ireland and Celtic nations. So so yeah, a little bit about that. And I know, like I said, Tyler, last time we talked about that is kind of something that kind of checked out for you too, I believe. Is that right?
Yep.
Cool. All right. So we're gonna go through. We're gonna try to keep it to about. I'm gonna try to do about seven notes, maybe more, because there's a lot of stuff to go through. But overall, I just kind of want to go um, until really, you know, if we get to 7 notes and the point's gotten across, that's good enough for me. Overall it's just to help people and just kind of want to really get Frith across. So this is the first quote that I have down for Frith that Wilhelm writes about. So briefly, we must begin with the kin, the race or family, a gathering of individuals so joined up into one unit that they appear incapable of independent action. As to the feeling which so unites them, this we must leave till later. The point here is that the individual cannot act with all acting with and through him. No single individual can suffer without affecting the whole circle. So absolute is the connection that the individual simply cannot exist by himself. A slight loosening of the bond, and he slips down, the most helpless of all creatures. And I could probably save us some time too, because there'll be something later. There might be a quote, and I can skip over it, but there's a saga that kind of goes into that. I want to say it was Egil saga, um, and even somebody so strong like that, it might be the right saga, but he was so strong. He was great with rune magic. He was connected to the gods. and he was super strong. Like he took on berserkers, and he was so good at fighting. Even the berserkers would be like, their frenzy would wear off, so they're all exhausted as shit. And they're like, "Oh, give me a break." And he's like, "Okay, I'll let you. Okay, I'll let you get a breather." And then he just still beats their ass anyways after giving them a break. Yeah, somebody so strong. I'm gonna say it was that saga, hopefully, but he talks about he was so hopeless and sad, and he felt like he couldn't go through this doom of like he feels like he's doomed and like his life's over, and he wasn't as strong anymore because he doesn't have like a Frith circle, like his kin circle was gone, like people died and stuff, and he immediately kind of felt that like something happened with them and it damaged him, you know. So it's kind of like just less strength. So it really shows like not just emotionally, but is very practical, um, like your frith circle, like your connection to your kin or your family or people you're associated with, like you and I, Tyler. It's kind of like it's not just in an emotional sense. Like if I lost you or if you lost me, it would be heartbreaking, but it'd also be a practical standpoint. Like now that affected me, I feel way less strong to go through life now. You know, because that's exactly how I do feel. Like I believe in this, and exactly how I feel. I'd be heartbroken. It would destroy me if like something happened to you, but then also on two combined with that practical sense, you know, it's like, you know, that's less security for me. That's like one less. That's like somebody else because you're basically all, yeah, I have, you know, you and I, we don't have many people. We prefer quality, so it's kind of like when you lose that quality, you know, and you like lose those people, it's kind of like now you have less people to come to you, come to court for you if something happens, or come to your defense if something physical happens. So it's also in a very practical nature. So I was going through that real quick to add that saga because that'll save time for later. But it really just shows, you know, how it's like something happens to one person associated with you, you feel it in you. That's how deep Frith gets. Um, all right, moving on. Okay. All right, let's go to this here. Okay. And this kind of confirms it overall. This was a quote here. Um, this is kind of a good because Tyler, you looked up the definition of Frith, and of like one day when we were talking about it, it was before we started the podcast, and even you're like, "Huh, we looked that up," and this is basically what you looked up is essentially what Wilhelm talks about, but it basically says Frith is a state of things which exist between friends, and it means first and foremost reciprocal inviolability. So, I mean, essentially peace, you know, like it's sort of like, you know, peace amongst kin, friends, clan circle,
I had
things
a
of that
good way
nature.
to describe it back then whenever you first talked to me about it, but I can't remember the word that I used to describe it.
Oh, you were saying, honestly, you talked about obligation.
Oh yeah, obligation.
Yeah, you're talking
Obligation
about
and
obligation.
loyalty. The two
Yes.
big ones that I use for it.
So you've got saga here. Um, so there was a saga that goes with it. Um, okay. Yeah, this would be good. Because there was a quote I did, but to save time, you guys can, you know, go and read it yourself. But it's saga basically talks about Thorkel, and then it was like this man named Gisli, um, essentially a man. He kind of said like, "Oh well, I'll give you a warning. Like I'll tell you about when those guys come through and they're gonna kill you, you know, so that we have a heads up." But then Gisli, basically, he's kind of like, I believe it's Gisli. He's like, I could never say these things to you. Like it's so heartbreaking, you know, like you would say these things to me, like this is all you would do, like you wouldn't stand up with me to like defend me. And he's just like, no, I'll give you a heads up though, you know. So it's just like it just shows like how heartbreaking that was. It's a really good saga. It really shows where it's like that's not enough. Like you have to be involved. You know what I mean? Like you're associated with me. How are you not involved? It's so heartbreaking. So
I feel like that's a prime
that's
example.
absolutely is a good example of it. So and yeah, it says here, as for disowning the action of one's kinsman and taking up a personal, neutral standpoint, such a thing was out of the question. Yeah, so like there is no neutral standpoint. Like there's just nothing else. It's you're with me or you're against me, and that's it's pretty solid. I think that kind of that's why some of those societies boomed. I feel like, you know, societies that kind of stand by this kind of thing, they just boomed so much. You know what I mean? And they fucking dominated because it was just simple things. There was no like pity pattying around, you know what I mean? Like even that's why you think of the Varangian Guard, you know, the Byzantine Empire and all that. You know, when they hired like Vikings to become a part of the Varangian Guard, you know, they're all the way out in the Mediterranean. They preferred they preferred Vikings, they preferred Norse people, Anglo Saxons to be their bodyguards, because they didn't just protect that emperor because of money. They understood the whole concept of you're my lord now, you know. So I owe allegiance to you. My honor goes to you. All these things, you know. So it's kind of like loyalty. You know, there is no like middle ground. It's like, all right, I'm associated with you. So something that's really strong with Germanic people is that, you know, sense of loyalty. Um, so now this is gonna start to go into how practical things can be here, where emotions kind of push to the side for a moment. But this quote here, it says, "A man is brought home lifeless. The question of what he has done, of his antecedents, generally fades away into the dimmest background. There is the fact he is our kinsman. The investigation has for its object slain by the hand of a man or not. Wounds, and of what sort? Who was the slayer? And thereupon the kinsmen choose their leader, or gather around the born avenger and promise him all assistance in prosecuting the case, whether by force of arms or at law." So that's really important. So sometimes it'd be by actual physical or by law, but essentially somebody's picked out and they're like, who's going to lead us in this big vengeance cycle now to avenge him? Like it's the immediate practical question. And then, yeah, the kinsmen of the slayer on their part are well aware. So basically, the people who are associated with the guy who killed that guy, they are well aware of what is now to be done. They know that vengeance is on their heels. So simple and straightforward is the idea of Frith. It reckons with facts alone, taking no count of personal considerations and causes which led to this violent conclusion. So even people who, you know, fucking did it, even they're like, yep, we know it. Even people who didn't do it, but they're just associated with him by name or blood or, you know, something. They're just like, yeah, we know what happens now. Somebody's coming after us, whether they're gonna fucking sue us or, you know, fucking take us to court and something happens, we have to pay money to them, or somebody's gonna fucking kill one of us. Like any of them. It doesn't have to be the guy. That's important. It doesn't have to be the guy who killed that other family. It can be anybody associated with him. And so it's like any one of them at any time can just die because they're like, I choose that guy over there. Let's get back at him. You're associated with him by blood or name, so we're just gonna kill you. And there you go. It's just how crazy and like straightforward the shit was. So
I like how that ties into the first point that you made too. Or we were talking about it earlier. Is what was about the actions of one affect the whole, basically.
yes, yeah, absolutely. It really does, man. It's like, I mean, we'll touch into it at the end. Like I want to do it now because of our shit going on. You know, we won't go
We
into
gotta pick.
specifics. Obviously, yeah, but we won't go too much in specifics. But yeah, we could always get good at the end when we compare it to like personal life because anybody can relate to it, especially in this modern age. There's no fucking morals anymore. You know, so this is some fucking good shit here.
Also,
But
we are at the 20-minute mark. I don't know if you wanted me to still remind you about the 20, 40
oh,
minute mark, stuff like that.
absolutely, yeah. That's actually dang okay. I think we're doing pretty good. You think? How many notes did I go through? I think it was like
I don't know.
shit. See, I know. Sorry about that. Let me see. Got one, two. I didn't even. I mean, I'll just say I've already gone through probably like four. We're going pretty quick,
Oh
so I
shit.
probably actually might be able to. Yeah, no. I mean, I'll probably even five actually, because I'm skipping some of them because they're kind of just like redundant. So probably actually might be able to get through all of these. Yeah, I'm already like below half on the scrolling things. It's like already down to the bottom. So we actually might be able to get through it. Cool. Okay. All right. Yeah. Keep going then. Um. So now here, this is a good one. It's just simply something stating. It's a very short note, but it's very powerful. Essentially, all must give way to Frith, all obligations, all considerations of self, everything, down to the regard for one's own personal dignity, if such a thing could be imagined as existing apart from the feelings of kinship. So that's it's pretty powerful, even if your dignity is at stake. You know what I mean? Like it's like somebody fucking, you know, did something, but and it's like you don't agree with it essentially, or it could affect like how you're viewed. So it doesn't matter. Like it's just your obligation, like you gotta be there for them. That's like the ultimate honor. Is to stand there and be with your kinsmen or your family. So just very powerful on that. You just no emotions to it. Like, I'll probably be able to save time too, but there's one where a lady, all of the men in her family basically died. Anybody who could be an avenger, to avenge the family, they're dead. And even she basically talks about how like I feel so terrible, like I don't want to do this. This makes my heart hurt, basically, sadness. And but she's like, but that doesn't matter, and she just does it anyways because she knows she has to. It's Frith. Like she's so drained and tired and sad of this vengeance cycle that's killed her family. But she's like, the family still needs to be avenged, so it's so powerful. It's like something so strong, it like pushes you to do it. So um let's see here. Good one here. Let's see. Okay, this will be a good one here. I actually have two here, but try to summarize this if I can. But overall, it's like Frith, overall, it constitutes what we call the base of the soul. It is not a mighty feeling among other feelings in these people, but the very core of the soul that gives birth to all thoughts and feelings and provides them with the energy of life. Or it is that center in the self where thoughts and feelings receive the stamp of their humanity and are inspired with will and direction. Um, and then it goes into as well, like humanity in them bears always the mark of kinship. So in our culture, revolting, revolting misdeed is branded as inhuman. Very simple. And conversely, we express our appreciation of noble behavior by calling it genuinely human. By the Teutons, the former is condemned, so being inhuman is condemned as destroying a man's kin life, and the good is praised for strengthening the sense of frith. And yeah, it goes to basically say like killing your own family member is like the supreme horror and it's like the worst fucking thing you could do. It's like just so shocking. It's just like, why would he do that? Like it's just so terrible. It's like the worst thing you could ever do. Um, this one goes into a nice like Swedish proverb. Um, but this peculiarity of man is well known by the bear. According to a saying current in the north of Sweden, better to fight 12 men than two brothers. Runs a proverb ascribed to the wise animal. Among 12 men, a bear can pick off one at a time in rational fashion, but the two cannot be taken one by one. And if one falls, his strength is passed on to his brother. So that's like really fucking cool. So it's kind of like, yeah, like it's true. You know what I mean? Um, like whenever I first met you, like we talked about this one the first time we tried to do this episode, but like when I first met you, you and your brother, like always shoulder to shoulder, what I mean? Like I always saw you two together. Like nobody would fuck with you guys. Like two stocky dudes, you know what I mean? Like you guys did everything together. You guys were bonded. And compared to like a little fucking scrappy gang of like 6 or 7 dudes, you know what I mean, who probably would turn on each other too. You know what I mean? Like there's no really bond connected to them, but then you get two brothers, like, that's powerful. But and it even says too, like Frith can be so powerful where it's like if one brother falls, the strength can be passed to the other in some circumstances. So it's kind of just like really shows, like brothers, even a fewer, their connection's so strong, you know what I mean? That already makes them like an insane enemy to, go up against compared to just random guys who are with each other. And yeah, that's even true for like I feel like up to more modern times. It's even true in the Viking Age. Um, you would see people on the ships. They even found this in DNA of some of the finds, but a lot of those guys who were buried together because they died maybe on a raid or they just came back or something. Some of the people who went off in ships, they're literally like kin. They're from the same family, like cousins. Some of them even brothers or fathers and sons. And you see that, and it really shows like almost like why, in a sense, they were so strong, how powerful they were. You know what I mean? Because like they felt stronger because they were with their true kin, and they knew they would have each other's back, and they just had that true bond. It wasn't just some random guy from another village, and yeah, it's powerful. Like you imagine for modern military, you deploy. Like how much stronger would you feel if you deployed with your brother, like or like a cousin or somebody you're related to, you know, and like just not some random guy you know nothing about, and you're still trying to get to know him. Just you think about that, and it's like a lot more strength in it for sure. S- let's see this one here. Okay, this is a good one here. All right. So similarity. All those united by one bond of kinship suffer by any scathe to one of their clan. All feel the pain of a wound. All are equally apt to seek vengeance. If a fine be decreed, all will have their share. So basically, I mean, it's almost just like just as um, any of them can seek vengeance, any of the pain can be felt to all of them. It's also like if a fine, even the logical stuff, it's like even if a fine is decreed, um, all will have their share. So like, um, all of them have the ability to take vengeance, if one of their brothers or somebody in their family got killed. Um, but also if it becomes a legal thing and they're going to get paid because the other person killed them, you can end it right there if the other person decides to pay, if that family accepts it. So if that family accepts the payment instead of getting repayment by killing the other family, one of the family's members, um, everybody gets their share. Everybody with that basically that last name or that family. So it's like it's a fuck ton of money to pay because you have to pay everybody now because you just killed one of their people. So it's also like, yeah, everybody gets compensated for that shit. So let's see. Let's see. Yeah, it's a good one. Let's skip this one. That's more stories here. Let's see. Okay, there we go. It's a good one. We also start to get into like Anglo-Saxon words. It's really good because anybody who's also an Anglo-Saxon pagan, as myself, or just somebody who's just more curious about Anglo-Saxon descent, even if you're not pagan, and then because it touches on a lot of Norse, but it goes into everything Germanic, all the sources, the English, like Anglo-Saxon. Um, I think even some of them, the Saxons back in Germany, all of them. So it says, it is natural then that security should form the center of meaning in the words which the Germanic people are most inclined to use of themselves. Words such as Sieb and Frith, um, security, but with a distinct note of something active, something willing and acting, or something at least which is ever on the point of action. A word such as the Latin pax, it's a Latin word pax, suggests first and foremost, if I am not in error, a laying down of arms, a state of equipus due to the absence of disturbing elements. So frith, on the other hand, indicates something armed, protection, defense, or else a power for peace, which keeps men amicably inclined. Even when we find mention in the Germanic of making peace, quote, the fundamental idea is not that of removing disturbing elements and letting things settle down, but that of introducing a peace power among the disputants. So, so it's really kind of going in here. It's comparing the Germanic kind of words and definitions of it compared to like Latin. and like how like the Romans or people of Latin descent would have kind of saw it. Um, it's basically saying like with Latin, how like it's like maybe the Romans how they felt about it. It suggests first and foremost, if I am not in error, a laying down of arms, a state of equipus, due to the absence of disturbing elements. So it's kind of just like, okay, there's nothing going on. I think as far as I'm seeing, it's if nothing's going on, you're not in error, then it's the laying down of arms. You know what I mean? It's settling down. But Frith on the other hand is this. It's a peace power. It's kind of like peace by strength, kind of kind of tactics in a way. Um, so introducing like this peace power. You know what I mean? Like creating strength. It's where it keeps the peace essentially. If Frith is being disturbed. So um, so now we get into Anglo-Saxon. So this will be very beneficial for anybody interested in that. But the translator of Anglo-Saxon poetry is faced with innumerable difficulties because no modern words will exhaust the meaning of terms like freothul and sib. So basically, freothul is kind of like it just indicates frith along with sib. If he content himself with repeating peace again and again in every context, he will thereby wipe out the very meaning which gives sense to the line. And if he attempts to vary by different interpretations, he can only give the upper end of the meaning. He pulls off a little tough for the word, but he does not get the root. The energy of the word, its vital force is lost. When in one place enemies and evildoers beg for frith, the word means fully acceptance in a pardoning will, admission to inviolability. And when God promises the patriarch in Genesis frith, it bears the full meaning of grace, the earnest intention to be with him and protect him, fight for him, and if need be, commit a wrong for his advantage. That's pretty big. Even if you have to do something wrong for the advantage of your kin. And it is not only men, but also, for instance, places, strongholds, which can furnish those in need of frith. So, yeah, that's pretty big. For anybody, like it's not just like honor and this and that. It's like we talked about this last episode. We talk about it a lot. I always talk about people, but the guys who get the sides of their head shaved and get Viking tattoos and say they love honor, as Thomas Rousseau said, oh, don't worry, I got them too. Don't worry. but no, but the guys who think they're actually real Viking, or it's okay to be excited about it, but whenever you claim what honor is, and meanwhile it's like honor and all these things are pretty deep. Like you're talking like your family did something wrong, and it's even saying like you sacrifice your dignity, as we said earlier, like you sacrifice your dignity, for the sake of Frith and your kin because you love them and you have Frith with them. Um, and also it says here like you commit a wrong, for his advantage. So it's even stuff like that, So it's not really as simple as a lot of uh, people make it out to be when they shave shave the sides of their heads and get the Ragnar braid going and shit. And they're like, "Yeah, fuck yes, Ragnar Lothbrok would be so proud of me."
No, he wouldn't.
He wouldn't. Yeah, he would not. So
Basically,
it's
sounds
pretty
like
deep
the
there.
obligation to end all obligations, or the obligation
Yeah,
of
yeah,
all obligations.
yeah, yeah, absolutely. Yeah. Um, let's see. So let's see. Got three more here that just kind of compares Anglo-Saxon with old Scandinavian words. So this one's good because I'm also reading Beowulf. My first time through that. We also talked about that, trying to do Beowulf eventually for chapters. But so when Beowulf has killed both Grendel and his mother, the Danish king, in grateful affection, says, "I will give you my Frith as we had before agreed." And he can give nothing higher than this. But there is the same entire sense of affection an obligation when the two arch-enemies, Finn and Hengist, after desperate fight, enter into a firm alliance in Frith. even though the will gives way soon after. So that's huge. Even like enemies or like, like when Beowulf, like it's really saying like no amount of wealth was like it could be higher than, when um the Danish king basically says like I would just give you my Frith. You know what I mean? Like that's huge. It's like the highest thing somebody could give you. Like they're giving you their Frith and stuff, for like something you did for them. And then it even says here like, yeah, enemies. Um it's crazy. Two arch enemies, after a desperate fight, they enter into a firm alliance of in Frith. Like that's even huge, you know what I mean? It's like fucking huge. Even enemies can just say, okay, let's agree to it, people who fucking hate each other. So that's pretty powerful too. So okay, so but the sense of the words is not exhausted yet. They denote not only the honest, resolute will to find loyalty, um, implicit trust forms the core, but about it lies a wealth of tones of feeling, joy, delight, affection, and love. A great part of the passages quoted above, if not all, are only half understood unless that tone is suffered to sound as well. In the Anglo-Saxon "sieb" or peace ranges from the meaning of relief, comfort, as in the saying, "Sieb comes after sorrow," to love. And when the Northmen speak of a woman's frith or love, the word glows with passion. Hmm. And the last one, kind of comparing here, we need not doubt but that the feeling of frith included love, and that kinsmen loved one another, and that deeply and sincerely. It is love between one and another that has drawn the little old Scandinavian word spouse, Anglo-Saxon sves, away from its original meaning. It means probably at the first, approximately, one's own, closely related. But in Anglo-Saxon poetry, it shows a tendency to attach itself to designation for kinsmen. And at the same time, its content has become more and more intense, intimate, dear, beloved, joyous. In the Scandinavian, it has concentrated entirely about this sense and is there, moreover, a very strong word for expressing dearness. From all we can see, the relation between brothers, and also between brothers and sisters, was among the Germanic people, as generally with all peoples of related culture, one of close intimacy. The brotherly and sisterly relationship has a power unlike any other to intensify will, thoughts, and feelings. The kinship has possessed both depth and richness. So, kind of a mouthful there, but you know, um, I really like that last sentence because unfortunately I don't have a good relationship anymore with my sister. It's heartbreaking for me because even between brothers and sisters, I don't have any blood brothers or anything, but it's just me and my sister growing up. But that really kind of touches really good there, like when you really have a good relationship and a strong, frith, even if you don't know what frith is, but you have it because you have a close bond with a sibling. It says the brotherly and the sisterly relationship has a power unlike any other to intensify will and thoughts and feelings. The kinship has possessed both depth and richness. That's kind of like a just huge takeaway, for anybody with siblings or just anybody really counts themselves as that. Like what Tyler and I do as brothers. You know, it's just there's nothing like that. So it's really powerful. Um, let's see. So we've kind of gotten into that here. Um, So I'll only read the first sentence of this one. It's another Anglo-Saxon word for any Anglo-Saxon dudes out there, or ladies. But the Anglo-Saxon word "lis" has a characteristic synthesis of tenderness and firmness that is due to the application to the feelings of kinship. And it just kind of denotes gentleness and consideration, which friends feel for one another. And it can also indicate a king's favor towards his retainers. So that's good there. Okay.
We are
So
at
we're actually
44 minutes now.
44 minutes. Okay, perfect. Kind of touch on. Yeah, we're actually right here at the end. It's kind of perfect. There's a lot of big paragraphs, but it's going to be kind of redundant. So, all right. So everybody, we're gonna go through probably just one more good quote, and then we're gonna spend about 10 to 15 minutes talking about personal experiences and
Venting and ranting.
yeah, a lot of venting and ranting, and how people could use a little bit of fucking frith. So go through here. It's more about Beowulf. Um, um, hmm. Yes, he's gonna talk about what the Northmen feared most of all. So kinship is the indispensable condition to the living of life as a human being, and it is this which makes the suffering occasioned by any breach in a man's frith so terrible, without parallel in all experience, so intolerable and brutal, devoid of all lofty ideal elements. To us, the modern day, a conflict such as that which arises in Gundrun when she sees her speech friend slain as her brothers and her brothers as the slayers might seem to present the highest degree of bitterness, a thing to rend the soul asunder. But the Germanic mind knew that which was worse than tearing asunder, to wit, dissolution. A breach of frith gives rise to a suffering beneath all passion. It is kinship itself, a man's very humanity, that it stifled. And thence follows the dying out of all human qualities. What the wretch suffers and what he enjoys can no longer produce any real feeling in him. His very power of joy is dead. The power of action is killed. Energy is replaced by the state which the Northmen feared most of all, and most of all despised, um, breadlessness. And then last quote here: in the Beowulf, the hero's return from strife and toil is sung as follows: quote, "Thence he sought his way to his dear home, loved by his people, home to the fair Frith Hall, where he had his battle fellows, his castle, his treasures." End quote. What did these lines mean to the original listeners? What feelings did the words dear, loved, and fair call forth in them? What what we have seen up to now teaches us approximately but the strength of these words, and what we are not to understand thereby. What were the ideas attaching to this joy? The answer is contained in the old word honor. That's when next time it's gonna be honor. I've yet to read it. So, um, that last quote though, I think that one really, when I first read it, did get me emotional because also right before that I skipped over it, like I said, and I did talk about it earlier. Talks about the woman, like she's lost everything, like all of the men in her family are dead because they tried to achieve vengeance. They all died. It's really heartbreaking when you think of that in the modern day. If anybody you know, like if you have a house full of men, they all die, and like just imagine your mom that you love or grandma, she's all that's left, and she's like so hell bent on regaining, like holding the peace of Frith and reclaiming honor and all that, that she feels broken to do it because she's lost everything, but she's like, I have to do it. That's kind of like what that's saying in the end there, where it's like you know, what the Northmen dreaded most of all, whenever your Frith is disturbed, it's breached. So very deep shit. But so now I thought that was pretty smooth there. We're gonna go into some personal stuff here for a good 10, 15 minutes. And then yeah, we're gonna go into that. So Tyler, um, I guess we'll kind of go into I don't even know.
I don't even know how to start with this.
I don't either, but we won't go into specifics here. Um, but we do have a situation of that where, unfortunately, we have somebody dear to us, and he's unfortunately it does get hurtful, when somebody kind of makes things more about them, and we're trying to keep everything a collective. We've always been about a group, ever since we've known each other, and um, I think it's that person's been more about them, about how their life's going, and basically anybody's issues. It doesn't quite matter, just for their privacy and respect to them, of course, because they're still our brother. But that kind of hurts though, especially because Tyler, he's been going through a lot of things. He said that in a past episode, but he's dealing with things, and we're all like dealing with things, but most of all Tyler right now, like it's unfortunately his turn in life where he's in a
Damn it
you're in
all.
a dark spot. Damn it all. But you're kind of in that point in life. We all have our points, and it's our job as kinsmen. And it's like I mean that to the bottom of my soul, like you're my kinsman and stuff, even though I'm not blood related. And you're my brother. I like to believe, I believe in it, that we have a Frith, or we have a circle of Frith. And you know, when we have a third person who's supposed to be a brother to us and is supposed to share the same feelings, doesn't quite act that way, you know. And they kind of make things about them, or whenever Tyler's going through things and they can't be there for him, or they kind of just play it off like that's not respectful at all, you know. Um, and I think the part where it's at the sake of your dignity, there's actions that said brother has taken, to big decisions in their life that I feel for us because we don't necessarily believe in it. I feel like we have sacrificed, at least in my opinion, our dignity, and things we believe in, and we've stood up for that person. Whenever another person, it was a fourth member that was going to come into our group, and they believed in stuff. And even though we sort of had the same beliefs, we were like, no, that person first, our brother first. So in a sense, we kind of sacrifice dignity because we care and we love about them, and we still do, but we are hurt right now, and it's kind of like to somebody like 1,500 years ago, who's like their lives are dependent on it. It's a little less dramatic. Like their like lives depended on like like fucking killing cycles. Like it's nothing that crazy, but um it's still kind of deep. You know what I mean? Because I feel like even somebody back then they wouldn't want like you know when somebody's going through something like their brother just doesn't give a shit. That's they're not there for him. Um, so
Which it wasn't
I
always
don't know
like
what.
that. I feel like that just needs to be said.
Yeah, absolutely, absolutely. It hasn't. Definitely not. We talked about that before this episode, and it was. I think there was a time when I'd always remember in our group. Even that person, that brother, was always the one who would um, if he wasn't checking on me, he would say, "Hey, can you check on Tyler? I'm worried about him." You know, um, he would do that. He'd send me personal messages and stuff. So that's it is heartbreaking, and it used to be easier to talk to him as well. We've talked about
Oh
that.
yeah.
Like now it's this, it's impossible. Like we'll go on and on and on. Like we'll rant like how I fucking go on and on and on, how we go on and on and on and talk. But we do that with him, and he'll say like one word, and then kind of like the worst effort possible, to communicate and contribute anything, just like a beautiful conversation or something, and catching up, and it's kind of impossible.
It's gonna
Um,
make me look kind of bad for the people that are watching this video because I haven't really been saying much this episode. But me and Cody did talk before this. We spent like a whole hour just discussing this before we started recording anything.
yeah. Oh yeah. Yeah. We talked about this for a while. We spent like about like an hour's venting about this, and
Yeah,
yeah,
so
I didn't
I'm
know if
not
we're gonna do
always
this
this
episode
quiet.
tonight.
I normally do talk quite a bit, but
No, absolutely. Yeah. Yeah, this format of this video is a bit different, especially because I wasn't even really expecting like the format in terms of towards the end of this video of adding in personal experiences was a bit last minute because we just got done venting about it, and obviously respect for that person, our brother. It's kind of like we're not gonna go into specifics, of course, but still it's something that hurts us, and yeah, we already vented about it for like a straight hour and stuff. So
yeah.
we're really just venting about it right now, not to do it all again because we got all of our emotions out earlier. It's mainly just to share with others in terms of like Frith, um, and that said person too is a Germanic pagan. Specifically, they prefer a Norse pagan, but um, I think it's kind of unfortunate because it's kind of like even That said brother of ours is kind of missing out on a lot in terms of just one chapter in this book. You know what I mean? It's changed my life. You know, and even the way I talk to Tyler, you know, talk to you now, you know, it's kind of like I understand even more now what it means to actually consider myself a part of like a Frith circle with you. You know, it's kind of like a big fucking deal. It means like, you know, it just means a lot more than just saying, yeah, we're brothers. Like I'm here for you. It means like emotions aside, if I'm feeling drained or if I feel like I don't want to pick up the phone, I've never felt that way really. But if I'm drained or I'm tired, you know what I mean. You put that aside, especially if something's like legitimately wrong. You know, it's kind of
Right.
like, and unfortunately, you know, I'm saying that because unfortunately with that brother, um, it hasn't really been that way. It's been kind of when Tyler's been struggling. Um, or when we've been struggling and we're like, dude, can we get you on a call? Like, can we talk to you? You know, because we're states away. And, you know, even Tyler, even though you guys are in the same state, you guys don't always see each other. And it's also just because, like, we like to get on, you know, group calls with the three of us. And,
Or we
you know,
used to.
obviously we used to, yeah. And this thing, it's like, it's kind of like our way of compensating for the fact that can't always come to Kentucky, back to Kentucky. So, and it's what we do all the time, like as a ritual, you know, and, it's kind of not really there anymore. And that kind of hurts. And it's like, you have the time. Like we're all going through shit, and we can make some time. It doesn't have to be every day, of course, but you know, just make time. You know, and because now as a result, it's made a huge drift, like yeah, you know, a rift or whatever between us, and like especially me because I've been trying to find so many things to relate about, you know, but we don't talk enough to find anything to relate on, you know, and develop that connection. So you know, yeah, I think it's unfortunate, but it's not even really a thing to bash. It's just a thing of it's just unfortunate. It's sad because it used to not be that way, and um, I think it's a beautiful first chapter of the book. You know, to kind of keep relating it to the book. I think it's really deep. It is heartbreaking. I think the first time I read it, you know, I'm a grown man, but even like when I really understood like how heartbreaking that is to think of like even a woman down to the last person of the house, and even they were like you know, for my family, basically, you know, I gotta try. You know, it's kind of even for me that kind of like almost brought me to tears, you know, because it's like a beautiful thing. It just shows like how connected these people were and how much they saw loyalty and Frith. So, and I think it makes it more emotional for me, not to get too sentimental, but because of our brother, you know, because you know, whenever all the hatred, not the hatred, but like all the anger and stuff's done, you know, resentment, when all that's done, when you've had your time to vent, like you do get like bummed out because you know then when it's like things are said, it's kind of I don't know. Then the next emotion follows, and that's sadness, and um, think nostalgia and all that. Like almost every call now we've been talking about it. Like, man, don't you miss when we'd all get on and we could all just vibe and shit? And it's like we don't really get
Just
that
sitting over
anymore.
here
You know?
reminiscing.
Yeah, so it's not fun. So, um, I guess the big thing would be what would our solution be? Um, instead of just talking about it, like we're just bashing it. It's like, well, for solution of it, it's really unknown. It's dependent on that brother to kind of come through and to give effort back, because as in that one quote, the Gisli and Thorkel, he was so hurt by that. He was like, I can never, you know, just be neutral, like it's either you're all in or you're not, and that's just kind of how it is, It's, that's kind of how we are, like especially with Tyler, again, like we all go through phases where like it's like I'm struggling and I'll message you and I'm like, yeah, man, I'm like really fucking struggling. Like fucking cried last night. Like I never cry, but I'm like heartbroken, and then it's just like then you tell me you're struggling. And yeah, it's kind of like the ultimate like are you in or are you out? And unfortunately with our brother, whenever Tyler was struggling last night, it was like the other night or something, it was just like
Yeah, it was
he
last
was
night.
out. It was last night, and then it's just your brother, he was out. So it's just kind of like it's kind of it's obviously not life or death, but it's it's still like it's almost just like you can't be there for something small, like just picking up on the phone, trying to help, be a brother,
Or just shoot a quick message and act like you care,
Yeah,
at
just
least.
fucking act like you care. Yeah, and so it does hurt us and stuff, but so in terms of actions, and not just me sitting here ranting and bashing about it. I mean, I feel like the only thing really, and then I'll get your take on it, brother. But like, I think mine is really just in a situation like that. It's just I don't know. Like we sacrificed our dignity and our beliefs to stand up for him when somebody else was coming, in and they didn't agree with it. And we're like, okay, well, you got to piss off because he's our brother. So, it's kind of like, I feel like in a situation like that where we've sacrificed a bit, it's kind of like, I feel like it is up to that person to, kind of just put effort, and kind of, recognize the elephant in the room that like, yeah, two guys pissed off at you and they don't want to talk to you much anymore. I don't know. What do you think?
I agree. I feel like it's okay. It's hard for me to talk about this because I'm trying not to say any names or give anything away.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's very hard for me
Same.
right now.
Yeah. Definitely the same.
Uh, I feel like realistically, there's only so much that we can do personally. I don't know if there's much that we can do to bring that person back over to us or not. I feel like it is mostly reliant on them. They have to decide what the next step they're going to take is. They may or may not see this. I don't know. If they do, they'll know who we're talking about. But
Yeah. Yeah. Agreed. And um, it's a tough thing because we kind of brought it up to the person, like in a more gentle way, of course. But um, like we're like, hey, like get on with us more. Just talk to us. Like
yeah, I
that can,
literally talked to him about all this.
yeah. So it's yeah, and you talk to him like a lot about it, and then it's one of the situations where that person he's becoming a bit of the kind of person maybe some of you out there can relate, where it's, oh, why are you guys always getting on at this time? It's not convenient for me. And it's like, it's kind of, it's kind of shit, Yeah, it's kind of, that's always annoying, It's like, yeah, we're all making time here. We got jobs and, we got our struggles and stuff.
The
Yeah,
hell, it's almost 4 o'clock in the morning for you right now.
it is. Yeah, it's definitely almost 4 a.m. right now. We're sitting there talking about all this deep shit. But yeah. Um, but yeah, let that kind of wrap into the end there, because it does hurt us, and that's how it should feel when you do care. It's also just basic love, but in terms of deeper connection and when you really think about it, we kind of had an understanding about Frith before we knew about it, either of us, because yeah, we did that. We kind of did. There's a lot of times we sacrificed our dignity and our beliefs, and we just shut up, and we just did that because, well, that's our brother. So there's a lot of times we did had a big understanding, and
I mean, it's just the
we
right
would
thing to
try to
do.
help you. Yeah, it's
Also,
just the right thing to
should
do.
be
Yeah,
common sense.
yeah. A lot of it's a lot of common sense, and
Or I would think so, anyways, but apparently not.
yeah, for sure. And but yeah, I really hope and pray that um, everybody. I hope this one. I mean, I hope all of them do. We have such beautiful like, videos out right now. In terms of anything for me, like I don't give a shit. Like I want my blessings in terms of like for what I want for Tyler. I want all of his like good ideas. I want his shit to blow up. I want like his music because him and I both have been into music for a long time. You were doing vocals since before I picked up a guitar or ever played music. Like you were doing it in high school. So I pray and I send my blessings out to Tyler for his shit to blow up. That's my prayers. But if I had one thing, you know, for having the the honor and the privilege of being able to, use this channel that you created, and contribute ideas as well. I pray this one, culture of the Teutons, just like my review. So many people do book reviews, but I wanted to do something different where it's not just what everybody else has done. I like to do what I feel like I see less people do, and that's like individual chapter reviews and actually talking about the spirituality or like just culture with it.
Going really
And
in depth with everything.
yeah, and comparing it to real life, and doing it in a way where it's respectful to the people we know, like that said brother. But it's also like it kind of hits the people understand. So I kind of pray if there's one thing on my end for my contribution to the channel and our podcast is that yeah, culture of the Teutons and this stuff starts to pick up so it can really help people because I think the world's kind of it's been getting bad, but there's a lot of things that are getting really bad with morals. Um, this is just kind of like free knowledge out there, uh, and free enlightenment that can help people and develop stronger bonds, hopefully. So, um, but yeah, Tyler, before we start to wrap it up for the outro, did you have anything, man?
Not pertaining to that, but I do have a question about enlisted. We was planning on doing a. We probably won't do that tonight, but
Right.
when do you
Yeah,
want to do
enlisted.
that?
Ah, great question. If um, I think about possibly tomorrow night. So yeah, if my lady heads out and stuff tomorrow to go do her thing, but yeah, probably tomorrow night would be perfect. Um, because it would be probably the same schedule. Head to work towards noon, and then I'll be set and good in the evening most likely. So definitely this week though, absolutely. If not tomorrow, then the next day because I've been dying for that. Like get some fucking recordings of that shit, man. That's our game right there. That's as
Oh
like
yeah.
one of my favorite games. So I'd regret it if like I can never play that again. That's like the top three for me, man.
So I guess for everybody listening, this video I'm gonna try to get it up sometime tomorrow or the day after tomorrow. And the enlisted gameplay, if we record it tomorrow or Thursday, I don't forgot what fucking day it is, but you know what I mean. It'll
Yeah,
probably be up sometime this weekend. So if
yeah,
anybody's looking forward to that, just keep an eye out for it.
that'll be amazing. Yeah, I'm pumped for it. It feels good. Really for all of them, like that fun, lighthearted one. We did an episode before this again. Uh, that was rejuvenating. I like the lighthearted ones, all those ones that you're pumping out, like for ideas. And then I'm really glad we got to get this in tonight. Um, I don't really like to get selfish with in terms of like what makes me happy, like, oh, it's my ideas of this, but like, um, this was just one that for me was close to my heart. Um, you know, or maybe it was just fate because of our current situation. But this was one that has helped me feel rejuvenated. Feel like I was able to get it out in a decent way where it wasn't too draining. So it felt good though. So I hope we can get this out there. And then you know, just at least for my contribution to the channel, this would be my biggest thing that I'd want to again contribute and stuff. So
And I will not lose
yeah,
the video this time.
thank you.
I finally
Yeah,
got
that was
that problem fixed, so we're not losing any more videos and having to re-record everything.
yeah, that'd be good. Yeah. That's no worries. I'm glad we redid it though. It feels like a good rejuvenation. Like has me excited. I think it's just because I really want to get this done because I'm not really stressing about the schedule for chapter two. Like, I'm gonna take my time reading it, even if it takes like a month or so, like even longer than that possibly, if just like because I'm busy figuring out other things. Like we have so much deep shit we can talk about. Like, you name a topic, like fucking we just go into it and it always ends up back in talking about spirituality. And it also probably make uh great fillers while I'm reading chapter two. It'd probably make amazing fillers for you, man, for um more Aramaic shit, more biblical stories. Like we did one episode, and I'm really glad we did that for one of our first ones because it really showed how interesting and unique like we kind of are with it. It's like you're combining like Germanic divination, like Germanic paganism divination, and then like right after you're like saying the Lord's Prayer in Aramaic, just kind of showing people what Aramaic sounds like, and you're talking about biblical stories and stuff, and so yeah, man, I think it'd be a good filler. Well, if it takes me a while to do chapter two, that'd even be good too. If we can start seeing your side of things, like the biblical side, some old wisdom from the Bible, any cool stories that you'd like to share. We can do episodes on it, and then it'll be the boots on the other foot. I'll be on the other side being quiet, and you'll be reading through some biblical scriptures. So
Hey,
it'd
I
be
got
kind
a
of
bunch
cool.
of them, so
Okay,
there's
no
no
shit.
shortage of
Then
ideas.
that works for me. Shit. I mean, after we get through the enlisted episode, um, there you go. If anybody's made it to this point, then little spoil, little Easter egg at the end, very end of the episode. Biblical knowledge and wisdom is coming. Sounds great. I like that.
Stay tuned.
It's awesome, man. Stay tuned. Um, yeah, this is very. This is gonna be a very natural reaction. Yeah, I'm not scared to be all
We're all
like
seeing it live.
fake. Yeah, this again. I usually drink beer. I'm a big strong beer fan, especially German beer, English ales, and Irish stouts. But yeah, my first whiskey back. It's Macallan, and it's 43% straight from fucking Scotland. It's like 12 years old. So
As long as you don't throw it back up, then it's all right.
yeah, yeah. But I guess everybody, thank you for tuning in to the Teutonic Tangents, and really sticking through it. And I pray this reaches a lot of ears, and people can find a way through this dark, modern world, this very cold modern world. And I guess until then, all the more beautiful content, a nice frost, or since I'm drinking Scottish whiskey, Slancha Vow, and until next time, friends.